ladies and...
So in that context, I'll work with anybody who's got a serious idea to make the Affordable Care Act work better. I've said that repeatedly. But as long as I am president, I will not give in to reckless demands by some in the Republican Party to deny affordable health insurance to millions of hardworking Americans.
All right. So I stepped on the president. Or did he step on me? He actually stepped on me. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. We turn our attention to the ongoing government shutdown. And joining us right now is the former chief speechwriter for George W. Bush, who was a columnist at the Washington Post. Marc Thiessen joins us. Hey, Marc. Let's try that again. Hey, Marc.
Hey, how you doing, Steve?
Hey, Gay, how are you, my friend? Good to talk to you.
Absolutely, good to talk to you.
You know, we're just, I wonder if the government shutdown will have any effect on the upcoming start of the NHL season. You see, Marc is a huge Rangers fan. I'm a huge Devils fan, and we always have this ongoing little thing between us. But I think that's pretty safe. Although Michelle Obama almost closed down her Twitter account today, I guess her staff of, 23? She needs one of them to tweet?
I guess so. And she's not willing to have the interns do it for her.
Right. All right, so you wrote a brilliant piece in the Washington Post yesterday, and the title of it was "The GOP Flunks Hostage-Taking 101." To put that in context a little, let's let the folks hear cut number 5 from Bill Maher.
Led by the Tea Party, really, I think, are holding hostage, and I don't say that in a snarky way. I've heard them use that phrase themselves. I've heard Mitch McConnell say that. Holding hostage both the government, they are threatening to shut that down, and the world economy if they don't vote for the debt ceiling increase, because they have this coke addict's obsession with repealing Obamacare.
All right, so there's typical Bill Maher, but I wanted to get the hostage in there. All right, you say basically the Republicans blew it because they picked the wrong battle.
Yeah, they selected the wrong hostage. I mean, look, I'm all for hostage taking. I think both sides do it. Democrats do it. Republicans do it on Capitol Hill. They hold up a nominee unless they get what they want, or they hold up some bill unless they get vote on something. So this happens all the time in Washington. So all this talk about hostage taking like it's something unusual is ridiculous. But you have to take the right hostage. And so hostage taking 101 teaches that you have to take a hostage the other side cares about saving, right? So when the Republicans say that, if you don't repeal Obamacare, or if you don't defund Obamacare, or you don't give us a one-year delay of Obamacare, or else we'll shut the government down, the Democrats don't care. In fact, they want a government shutdown. They are where they want to. I mean, you just look at where Obama was this weekend. He played 4 hours of golf. Harry Reid shut down the Senate. Nancy Pelosi took off for a romantic weekend for her 50th wedding anniversary. This is not a party in panic, all right? So you have to pick a hostage that the other side wants to save. And so what the Republicans are doing right now is basically they've taken a gun, put it to their own heads, and said, if you don't capitulate, we're going to pull the trigger. And the Democrats are saying, go ahead. I mean, this is just utter stupidity what's happening right now on Capitol Hill.
All right, so now let me play devil's advocate here for a second. So not devil's advocate. So you say, whereas Obama and Reid are in unison based on Obama's advice or order, say no, go ahead, pull the trigger. We're not even talking to you. You go play your own game, do what you want. Yeah. When it comes to the debt ceiling, Obama can't do that. You're saying because then the stakes are higher for him too.
That's the hostage we should be taking. That's the hostage that Speaker Boehner wanted to take. I mean, what Speaker Boehner wanted to do was pass a clean CR, continuing resolution, to fund the government for the next few weeks, and then have this fight over the debt limit. The Obama can and has allowed the government to shut down. And you saw him in the press conference today. He's attacking the Republicans and blaming them and fighting the PR war. He cannot allow the U.S. government to default, because the consequences of default would be so catastrophic. His own Treasury Secretary, I mean, we had this debt limit fight in 2011, okay? And the Republicans passed a tough bill, and then they backed off of it. And Bob Woodward, in his book about the debt limit fight, actually reported after the fact that Timothy Geithner, the Treasury Secretary, had told Obama that he couldn't follow through, and reported after the fact that Timothy Geithner, the Treasury Secretary, had told Obama that he couldn't follow through on the guns, but they didn't. So the lesson from that ought to be stick to your guns on the debt limit. take whatever it is that you want to demand and put it on the debt limit, and then Obama can't pull the trigger. He has to capitulate. He has to compromise with you. So you have to take if you're going to take something hostage, if you're going to play this game, you have to take a hostage the other side cares about saving. Obama will not allow an economic crisis on the comparable to 2008, which is what Geithner said would happen if we defaulted, happen on his watch. He has to compromise. So we're sitting here right now. How do you think this is going to end?
That was my next question to you.
They're going to capitulate. The Republic. It's just a question. I mean, they might as well.
That was my next question to you.
They're going to capitulate. The Republic. It's just a question. I mean, they might as well have a 1-year delay of Obamacare. Then they wanted a year delay on the individual mandate. Now they've got the Vitter thing about the congressional subsidies. I mean, they've come down to nothing. So what are they arguing? Why are we doing this? This is just utter strategic stupidity. What we're doing right now.
Let's say they come up with some. Maybe they hire a.
Utter strategic stupidity. What we're doing right now.
Let's say they come up with some. Maybe they hire a that's he considers palatable. Of course, if it was your speech, it would be much more than palatable. It would be appetizing. And he gives it and says, "Okay, look, too many people are getting hurt here." Or whatever. I don't even know what he could say. Maybe you tell me what he could say. But then, if they stop it in the next day or so, can they then regroup and fight the battle? And as you say, take the hostage for the debt ceiling.
Probably not. And the reason is that they blew it, okay? So, for example, what I would have advocated, probably not. And the reason is that they blew it, okay? So, for example, what I would have advocated is the Democrats were in control of the Senate. That was a non-starter. The whole defund Obamacare fund the Democrats were in control of the Senate. That was a non-starter. The whole defund Obamacare fund, waste of our time, and put us in a very, very bad position. So what we should have done is passed a clean continuing resolution and then gone on the debt ceiling fight and demanded a 1-year delay in Obamacare. Okay, which would have seemed reasonable to most Americans because everybody knows the implementation of the thing. This thing is not ready for prime time, even if you thought it was good. The unions are calling for a delay. I mean, the Obama administration has delayed part if you thought it was good. The unions are calling for a delay. I mean, the Obama administration has delayed part. And but the problem is what they did was they took that 1-year delay and put it on the CR. And they sent it to the Senate, and the Senate voted no. So all the Democrats are now on record voting against it.
Right.
So they're not going to vote for it. They're not going to turn around and vote for it in a few weeks. So they blew that.
All right, now let me ask.
I mean, when you fire your ammunition on the CR, you can't go back and then reload it onto the debt ceiling. It just doesn't work that way on Capitol Hill. So they've wasted all their ammunition on these stupid, unwinnable fights when they should have been putting this all on the debt ceiling to begin with.
We're talking to Marc Thiessen, a former chief speechwriter for George W. Bush and columnist at the Washington Post here on the Steve Malzberg Show. All right, let me play devil's advocate for a second. I mean, you say that, you know, and everything is fair. Geithner, what he said the first time around, but you know, now we're a president with, in my view, with nothing to lose anymore, and who still, I believe, fundamentally despises the principles of this country stands on. So what if it came down to the debt ceiling, and Obama said, "I'm not budgeting on the debt ceiling"? Let the Republicans, if you think that if you
be in the position we're in now.
What's that? Say that again. Say that again.
He would be in the position we're in now, which is eventually he would have to capitulate, because let's say we pass the debt ceiling date, and he didn't agree to whatever the Republicans were demanding at that point. Then the clock starts ticking. Then what happens is the Treasury Department has to didn't agree to whatever the Republicans were demanding at that point. Then the clock starts ticking. Then what happens is the Treasury Department has to
say same thing as now, but only worse because everyone would feel it. Yeah,
he can go on forever right now with the government shutdown. There's no long-term economic impact to a government shutdown. In fact, the American Enterprise Institute, my home base, actually has shown that every past government shutdown, the S&P has actually gone up. During home base, actually has shown that every past government shutdown, the S&P has actually gone up during to a default. So he can't afford to preside over that kind of an economic crisis as president, because regardless of whose fault it is, it's his presidency, it's his economy. And he can't let that happen on his watch. He's not going to let that happen on his watch. So he has to negotiate. And then on top of that, you're let that happen on his watch. He's not going to let that happen on his watch. So he has to negotiate. And then on top of that, you're here. Right. And let's work out all these problems. Your own unions have said a year delay. Have said it's not ready for prime year.
Right.
And let's work out all these problems. Your own unions have said a year delay. Have said it's not ready for prime. And let the American people speak in the midterm elections. And then he's the one who seems unreasonable. Right now, we seem unreasonable. And he's going to let this go on as long as we'll let it go on. Because this is manna from PR manna from heaven for him. We have just we're sitting there with a gun to our heads and saying, pull the trigger. I dare you to pull the trigger. And we're sitting there with a gun to our heads and saying, pull the trigger. I dare you to pull the trigger.
Chicago White Sox player. By name. And if he can't come up with that name, then the Republicans win. If he can name one White Sox player, then he wins. Because, I don't even know what else. Or at least the correct name of the Miami Heat, not the Miami Heats. Or, Comiskey Park, not Kaminsky Field. Just one of those things. They should quiz him on. Anyway, how do you think the Rangers are going to do this year?
Well, we'll see. We got Alain Vigneault as our new coach, and maybe he'll unleash Rick Nash and Brad Richards and all of them to use their offensive power. I mean, it will be exciting, much more exciting hockey, regardless.
And who we lost Kovalchuk, who
I know, but you got Jaromir Jagr.
I was just gonna say, isn't Jaromir Jagr?
Jaromir Jagr.
What's he as old as me? Is he as old as me now? Or oh boy,
he's better at his age than you ever were in your prime.
That's absolutely true. All right, listen, Mark, thank you. We'll speak to you soon. I appreciate your time, sir.
Take care, Steve.
Bye-bye. Marc Thiessen, ladies and gentlemen, former chief speechwriter for George W. Bush and the a columnist at the Washington Post and American Enterprise Institute is his home base, as he mentioned. So I don't know. We got some calls, so I'm going to break now. We'll come back. People have been waiting a long time. And if you want to weigh in on, to me, really, everything Mark says could be correct about the debt ceiling and how the president just can't have it happen. Historically, he cannot let the country default because it would be viewed on his. I don't think he cares about history. I don't think he cares about anything but changing America. And you know what? A dose of default, in my opinion, a dose of default might serve all of us greedy, rich, arrogant Americans right. It'll bring us down. It'll lower our standard of living for years to come. It'll cause chaos. And he's a disciple of Saul Alinsky. Some chaos is very good, according to Saul Alinsky. I don't think he would say, oh, my God, I don't think he'd pull the hair out of his head saying, I can't let the debt ceiling not be risen. I got to give in. I got to compromise. I can't see that happening. I don't think that's who Barack Obama is. I think he'll say, well, now the Republicans are not going to raise the debt ceiling, and he already said he won't negotiate the debt ceiling, and I believe him. This is the one time I believe him. What could I say? 855-777-9660, 855-00. Michelle Obama tweets out. Yeah, Michelle Obama tweeted it out. Now we know who tweets it out, and it's not Michelle Obama. The account will have limited activity due to the government shutdown. Why? Michelle can't tweet? Because Michelle doesn't tweet. Wake up, America. 855-777-9660 on the Steve Malzberg Show.